Previously, Krishna explained to Arjuna the difference between the conscious self and its object, the body, the eternal self and the temporary self, the immortal self and the mortal self. And he said that one shouldn't let things like pleasure and pain, or even life and death, sway one away from doing the things that one has to do, doing one's duties and responsibilities. Now, Arjuna says to live your life based on this knowledge of the difference between the true self and the temporary self requires a lot of intelligence. A person has to be very philosophical and thoughtful to be able to live that way. So he wants to know something about intelligence. Where can I get it? What is it like? So this begins a new section in chapter 2, starting in the 39th text. Krishna begins to describe intelligence by saying, people usually describe intelligence as something scholastic, but now I will explain it in a practical way. Practical intelligence will elevate and liberate you from the bonds of action and reaction. So now we come to the next text. Arjuna is going to say, not only do I have to have intelligence, not only do I have to have knowledge, but I have to be able to apply it to my actions. So he says, can someone like me hope to realize such intelligence? And Krishna answers, Neha bikramanasho sti prattavayo na vidyate solpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mohato bhayat. Even if you do not fully comprehend, any progress you make towards this intelligence is a great gain, a treasure that will dispel your fears and will never fade or disappear. So, will we be able to understand all this transcendental philosophy and specific and spiritual knowledge? Well, maybe we won't. But even if we try to, and if we understand anything at all about it, that's a great gain. It's a treasure which will dispel our fears and will never be lost from us. Why is it never lost? Because knowledge about the soul becomes part of the soul. It changes the way you think. It changes the way you act. So it changes your karma. So it will always have an effect and it will always replicate itself in the future. So Arjuna's kind of convinced, and now he asks, how can I strive for it? And this is the famous verse, Vyavasayatmika buddhi egeha kurunandana. Krishna says, strive for it. Strive for this spiritual intelligence with resolute focus. Do not let your ambitions scatter away from it towards countless distractions. Arjuna wants to know, what distractions? And Krishna says, the scattered thoughts of fools rush towards the flowery promises of materialistic culture, thinking, this is all there is. So everyone's thoughts are so scattered to a million different things. At one minute we're thinking of one television show, at another minute we're thinking of a member of the opposite sex, at another minute we're thinking of our jobs and how we might get more money, at another minute we're thinking of what we might be able to eat. Our thoughts are constantly going from one thing to the next, each thing promising to give us what we actually need, which is happiness. Why? Why are our thoughts rushing towards all these things that promise happiness? Even though every time we get them, they don't bring happiness, they just bring a new kind of distress. They may bring some happiness, but that happiness comes with so many strings attached. They may bring some happiness, but that happiness is so hard to get. So much work and stress is involved with it. So why do we keep going towards these things? Because we think this is all there is. Nanyad asti. Nanyad asti iti vadina. Our philosophy is Nanyad asti. There's nothing else besides these things. Their hearts are set on pleasure and paradise, fascinated by hopes of name and fame, and they make so many elaborate efforts towards power and enjoyment. So this is all there is. So what are they going to do? What are we going to do? We're going to dedicate ourselves entirely towards these things. This is all there is. It's only Snickers bars and sexual organs. That's all that it is. That's all that there is in the world to get. So let's get as much of it as we can. So we dedicate ourselves to that pursuit, becoming as famous as possible, becoming as powerful as possible. Those whose hearts are stolen by addiction to power and enjoyment can never have absolute focus, resolute focus, samadhi. They can never be focused on attaining spiritual knowledge or anything. They're always distracted to the newest promise. Materialistic culture, even if it is Vedic, focuses on sense objects produced by the three principles of matter. Rise above this, Arjuna. The promises of material happiness are a dense and dark forest that you must find the way out of. Become singularly resolute, grounded in what is everlasting real, and unconcerned with acquisition. Then you will tangibly grasp your own self. So Krishna says, even if these promises are Vedic, a lot of these promises are religious. The promise of another object that's going to give you some kind of a happiness. So here's a promise: if you accept Jesus Christ, you'll go to heaven, and then you'll have an eternal picnic. Or if you do this sacrifice Vedic yajna for Indra, then you'll become a king, and then you'll enjoy so many things. These are all just more promises. More promises, more promises. So even if the promises are religious or Vedic, they're still just based on sense objects, enjoyment of the senses, by contacting things that are beautiful, objects that are beautiful, external objects that are beautiful. But what are these things? These things are all produced by combinations of three colors, combinations of three modes, combinations of three wavelengths. So these things are constantly going in and out of existence. You cannot, even if it fulfills your promise, you can't hold on to it. So these are a dense and dark forest that keeps your energy trapped in pursuit of them. You have to get out of this forest. You have to figure out the way to get out. You have to be singularly resolute on getting out of this forest by grounding yourself in what is everlasting about everything. What is the essence of all these objects? What is the essence? Why do I want happiness? What is the essence of me? Ground yourself in that. Where is this thirst for life coming from? Where is this thirst for happiness coming from? Focus on that thing which never changes. Give yourself 100% to that. Then you will be able to tangibly grasp it. Now Arjuna has a doubt. He says, yeah, but you're talking bad about religion now. Like, religion serves a big purpose. So why should you give up that stuff too? So I say it like this: Arjuna, materialistic culture, especially the Vedic variety, serves a purpose. It gradually reforms materialistic people. Isn't it dangerous or wrong to completely reject it? So you may be wondering, like, well, why does religion make all these promises? Is it just another lie? It is just another lie, but it's a lie which is helpful to gradually purify people. How? What do you mean gradually purify people? It's promising happiness in connection with something which can actually give happiness. It's gradually taking a person away from selfishness and towards a greater concept of existence and towards God, understanding God. So it is a lie, but it's a lie which is taking a person towards the truth. So Arjuna is saying, isn't it a little bit dangerous for an ordinary person to give up such things? These things are important. They take us towards the truth. So Krishna says here, he says, whatever you can get from a small well, you can certainly get from a deep lake. Whatever true benefit comes from materialistic culture or religion is easily attained by one who deeply realizes spirit. So Krishna's answer is, sure, these religious materialistic things are useful for most people, but by giving them up in favor of directly cultivating spiritual knowledge, you can't lose anything. It's like thinking that by giving up a well for a lake, you would lose water. Okay, so now Arjuna is convinced by the time we get to text 47, and he says, Okay, I accept that I should focus exclusively on spiritual knowledge. Now, how do I begin? Right? So he's saying, what is the way that you apply philosophy to knowledge? What's the first step? You told me that people usually think of knowledge as something philosophical, scholastic, but that real knowledge is when your actions are guided by wisdom. So if I apply my actions to wisdom, what would that be like? So another very famous text, Krishna says, Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala hetur pur ma te sango stvakarmani. He says, if you apply your wisdom to knowledge, it's going to look, the first thing for you to understand is this. First, understand that you can't control whether your actions will succeed or fail. All you can control is whether or not you'll try. You can't control your effort, but not the result. So concentrate on fulfilling your responsibilities without yearning for a pleasant result or fleeing from an unpleasant one. So what's the first character of wise action? The first character of wise action is detachment from the result. I'm interested in doing this action because I need to do this action. Well, the result of the action is beyond me. My business is to make sure that I get this done because it's my duty to get this done. It's my responsibility to get this done. What's going to happen, whether it's going to be successful or unsuccessful, is not within my power to control. But what I can control is making sure that I do it to the best of my ability. That's the first characteristic of wise action as opposed to unwise action. So Krishna continues, he says, when you have equanimity towards the success or failure of your actions, then your deeds become yoga. Then your deeds become yoga. An expression of wisdom and intelligence. Try to come under the shelter of this wise attitude towards work. Avoid giving up your duties when they are unpleasant, like an irresponsible and selfish fool chasing pleasure haphazardly. So people are always, instead of acting like this, it's my duty, I have to do it and I can't control the result. Instead of that, people are always thinking, I want this result, I want that result, so what do I have to do to get it? And so they're thinking about the result and tolerating the action to get it. And then when they get attracted to a new promise, they change the objective, so they change the result they want, and so they change all their activities. They give up all their responsibilities and they start doing something totally new. So Krishna is saying, that's not wise action. Wise action is to be interested in the action itself, not the result. Do the action because it's your responsibility to do it. The result will happen on its own. And then these type of people are able to stick to their responsibilities and stick to their work because they're not constantly getting distracted by a new result that they want. Now Arjun has a question. If I act without striving for a specific result, how will I get any result from my actions? Krishna says, if you act without materialistic motivations, you will get no material result. Instead, you will get a spiritual result, liberation. Selfless karmas liberate you from good and bad karma alike. So strive for this yoga, the art of action. Karma sukoshalam yoga. This yoga, which is the art of karma, the art of action. It's active yoga, putting your intelligence into how you work. Working with knowledge that you can't control the result of your work, but you can control the effort. And therefore, what should you work for? If you can't control the result, then you shouldn't work for a result. You should work for what? That's what Arjun's asking. What should I work for then if I'm not working for a result? What do I get if I don't get a result? Instead of working for the result, work for the purification that comes by doing what you're supposed to do, by acting selflessly. Selfless karmas liberate you from good and bad karma alike. So strive for this yoga, which is the art of work. Now Arjun's confused. How can karma grant liberation from karma? Right? Krishna said if you do this karma, koshala, if you do this wise karma, then you'll get freedom from good karma and bad karma. So Arjuna's confused. How can karma liberate me from karma? So Krishna says, when you don't strive for the results of your endeavors, you are released from bondage to those results. You become a great soul, liberated from birth and death, and situation in a condition free from infirmity. So if we're not working for the sake of a specific result, if we're working for the sake of the work itself, then we are not attached to the result. Literally, we're not attached to the result. So the result does not accrue to us. It does not carry us to its own place. The word karma is so confusing because it means action and it also means the result of action. So action, which is not motivated by reward, doesn't attach us to the reward. So that's how karma can grant liberation from karma. Now Arjuna has one more doubt in this section. This doubt is not the philosophical doubt, but a personal doubt. He says, but my emotions will break free from my weak resolve and always pull me towards selfish interests. I don't think I'll be able to always act without striving for the result. It works like this. In materialistic karma, we see a result that we want and then we act for it. That's action that is motivated for the result. But in non-materialistic karma, we are not acting for a specific result. We're acting because these are the actions that we're supposed to do. These are the actions that others need us to do. Our society, our family, our friends need us to do these actions. Therefore, we do them. So Arjuna says, I'm not sure if I will always be able to act like that, not have my own personal goal and then act towards it, but just to act because these are the actions that I am expected to do. So here Krishna says, yes, you must make constant effort to reclaim your intellect from the brambles of delusion. Work hard to make your intellect steady, undisturbed, immovable, and unwavering in the samadhi of yoga. Then no promises of materialistic culture will attract or disgust you. So Krishna's answer is yes, that's where the work is. The work is in pulling your mind from being attracted to a promise of happiness and keeping it focused on the idea that real happiness is already existing within me, and all I need to do is clean away the junk that's hiding it. And how do I clean away the junk that's hiding it? By cleaning away the selfishness that's hiding it. And how do I do that? By working without a selfish motivation. So this whole section Krishna introduces what's called karma yoga. Karma as a yoga. Work, action as a yoga. Not just yoga as a meditation or a posture, but yoga as an actual action, as work. So I hope you enjoyed this section of the Bhagavad Gita. You can look at the previous ones in the previous videos and stay tuned for the next. Doing them about once a week. And you could also check out the whole Bhagavad Gita in my book, A Simple Gita, which you could get on my website, rajkishore.com. Hare Krishna.